This is the moment Invasion fans have been waiting for. These worlds to collide, all the people to come together for season 3. I'm talking with creator, executive producer Simon Kinberg. So, what do audiences need to remember about the first 2 seasons of Invasion?
There's really, it's about the characters. They really just have to remember where these characters come from to fully, enjoy the emotional storytelling and the drama and the collision of these characters. But I mean, honestly, you could also come to it a little bit cold because the story is quite different. The season, when it starts, we're back to peacetime, and then all of a sudden that blows up again. So if you're a fan of the show and you've watched the first 2 seasons, it'll be a really, I think, rich experience to see these characters that have been in parallel tracks finally collide and be forced to cooperate or not. And if you haven't watched the show, you can catch up, which would be awesome. But if you don't have the time for that, I think you could just come into the show and drop right in too.
Jeff on Apple TV Plus with both seasons, but here we are. These characters are colliding from across the world. What was that like on set to finally have these characters share these scenes that we've grown to love over these seasons?
It was an amazing thing to have the characters finally come together. It was something that we talked about from the very onset of the show, that we would spend time with them in their worlds, in their lives, really get to know them in their contexts, and then ultimately force them to come together. I wasn't sure how to force them to come together, but it became clear that the idea of putting them on a singular mission, and a mission that had the stakes of sort of life and death for the human race, would put a lot of pressure on the relationships, which was the most important thing. And so it was really fun to write scenes between these characters that I've been writing scenes for so long, but I'd never been writing scenes for them together. And to feel like you had somebody who was, a Japanese computer genius with an American soldier. And you had someone who was a suburban dad or mom, with a kid from England who had, lost her love, and a billionaire genius interacting with all of them. The ways that these different people from their completely different worlds could collide and then find some common ground was really exciting and really fun to write and really fun to watch, because we are blessed by having really extraordinary actors in the show.
Audiences will see that unfold this 3rd season, but the alien invasion is so much fun to watch on screen. Obviously, the alien are the bad guys, but it's so fun to see all of this unfold with the visual effects. What is bringing that to life like, to see that end product from your vision of writing it?
It was such an amazing challenge to create what is sort of the ultimate aliens for our show, the apex aliens that have been behind that, all the most sentient aliens for the first time, that have more of a personality than the other aliens. In my mind, I always imagined that they had a combination of being scary and dangerous and haunting, but also feeling sort of beautiful and ethereal and almost mesmerizing. And that combination was hard to ultimately get to. We went through hundreds of versions. We went through tons of images. So many talented artists gave us so many extraordinary versions of aliens, but landing on this one took a long time, took a lot of hands, and even the detailing down to the last second of what would be in their tentacles, their tiny little tendrils that come out the back of them. Would there be flashing light? Would there not be? When would there be flickering light? There's a lot of thought and care that went into it. Our visual effects supervisor, Eric Henry's won Emmys and is just a total genius, and he was a huge part of that process.
Spectacular filmmaking, and you've been behind some of the great movies, TV shows of the sci-fi genre, the superhero genre, Star Wars Rebels, the Martian, the X-Men movies, and Deadpool. What kind of contributed to being on those to help you get ready for Invasion?
Really learning, working on all the things I've worked on over my career, X-Men, Martian, Star Wars Rebels, all of them. I think the common thread through Deadpool, common thread is there is a balance of character and intimate personal storytelling for those characters with big epic visual effects, science fiction scale. And I think all of those things in their very different ways with their totally different tones manage that balance. And I think when they work best, they don't tip too much into just scale. And they also don't tip too much into just, personal drama. And so everything has been, for me, a learning process of learning how to create and maintain that balance. Those are the things that when I was a kid, I grew up loving. I was in the sort of golden age of science fiction movies with, in the late 70s, early 80s with Spielberg and Star Wars and James Cameron and Zemeckis. I mean, all of these geniuses were making some of their masterpieces back then, and they all had that in common. Really personal storytelling. You really felt like the emotion was real. And then it also was stuff you just had never seen before.
Storytelling is so evident in this third season with these characters colliding, but audiences need to watch it Fridays on Apple TV Plus. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.